My name is Darius, but everyone just calls me Grandpa. I'm 67 years old, and on the day my daughter suddenly came into $30 million, my life didn't just change. It cracked. She walked through the house with boxes in her hands, packing everything she claimed was hers, moving like a stranger in the home I built with my own 2 hands. When she finished, she didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just walked out and left me standing alone in the empty echo of my own living room. I thought that was the end of our story. But 5 days later, long after she slammed the door on me and her past, her perfect new world began to rot from the inside. And the same daughter who abandoned me came back trembling, not with pride or apologies, but with fear. Fear of something she couldn't outrun, and something only I could protect her from. Before I tell you what happened next, where are you watching from? To everyone supporting this community, thank you. If you're new here, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You're not just joining a channel. You're joining a family that understands heartbreak, betrayal, and survival. Now, let me tell you why she left, and what chased her back to my door. The morning started ordinary. I was in the kitchen fixing scrambled eggs, the way Dahlia liked them, soft and buttery, when I heard her phone ring upstairs. Once, twice, then silence. Then I heard her scream, not a scream of pain, a scream of disbelief. I dropped the spatula and bolted up those stairs faster than a 67-year-old man with bad knees should move. My heart was hammering. I thought she'd fallen. I thought something broke. But when I pushed open her bedroom door, she was standing in the middle of the room, staring at her phone like it had just told her she was immortal. "Dad," she whispered. Her hands were shaking. "Dad, I won." "Won what, baby?" She turned to me, eyes wild, wet with tears I couldn't read. "The settlement. The class action thing from my old job, the one I forgot I even signed up for. It came through. $30 million, Dad. 30 million. I stood there, frozen. For a moment I felt proud, relieved. My daughter, my Dahlia, would never have to struggle again. She could travel, buy a house, live the life her mother and I couldn't give her. I smiled. I actually smiled. "That's incredible, sweetheart. We need to celebrate. I'm leaving." The words hit me like a freight train I didn't see coming. "What?" She wasn't looking at me anymore. She was already moving, pulling a suitcase out of her closet, yanking clothes off hangers, shoving them inside without folding. "Dahlia, slow down. What are you talking about?" "I'm leaving, Dad. Today. I've been stuck in this town my whole life. I've been taking care of you since Mom died, and I love you. I do, but—" She stopped, took a breath. Her voice went cold, controlled. "This is my chance. I can't waste it." "Waste it," I repeated, my voice breaking. "Being here with me is wasting it." She didn't answer. She just kept packing. I watched her move through that house like a ghost, grabbing photo frames, her mother's jewelry box, books from the shelf I built for her when she was 12. She wasn't sentimental. She was efficient, like she'd been planning this for years and was just waiting for the money to make it real. I followed her downstairs, my throat tight, my hands useless at my sides. "Dahlia, please, let's just talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about." She zipped the last suitcase shut and stood, finally meeting my eyes. "Dad, I love you. I do. But I need to live my own life now. I'm 34 years old, and I've spent the last 6 years in this house, in this town, taking care of you because I felt obligated. And I'm tired. Obligated." That word sat in my chest like a stone. "I never asked you to stay," I said quietly. "I know." Her voice softened, but only for a second. "But you needed me to. And I did. And now, I don't have to anymore." She picked up her bags, walked to the door. I wanted to grab her, to beg, to scream, but I didn't, because somewhere deep inside, beneath the heartbreak and the shock, I still had my dignity. and I wasn't going to beg my own daughter to love me. She stopped at the door, her hand on the knob. "I'll send you money, Dad. You won't have to worry. I'll make sure you're taken care of." I didn't respond. She opened the door. The sunlight poured in, framing her like she was already gone. "Goodbye, Dad." And then she was. I stood there in the silence, staring at the space where she'd been, holding a dish towel I didn't remember picking up. The eggs were burning on the stove. I didn't move to turn them off. I just stood there. And for the first time since my wife died, I felt completely, unbearably alone. The first day after Dahlia left, I told myself I was fine. I cleaned the kitchen, washed the dishes she didn't take, vacuumed the living room even though it didn't need it. I kept moving because if I stopped, I'd have to feel it, and I wasn't ready to feel it yet. But by the second day, the silence became unbearable. You don't realize how loud another person's presence is until it's gone. The hum of her music through the walls, the creak of her footsteps on the stairs, the sound of her voice calling from the other room, asking if I wanted tea. Now there was nothing, just me, and the house, and the weight of her words, obligated. I tried to distract myself. I went to the hardware store, bought materials to fix the back fence. Brent, my old friend from the union days, stopped by unannounced with a six-pack and a sad smile. "Heard about Dahlia," he said, settling into the porch chair like he owned it. $30 million, huh? That's something." "Yeah," I muttered. "Something." He cracked open a beer, handed me one. I didn't drink it. "You okay, Darius?" I wanted to lie, to tell him I was proud of her, that I understood, that this was her life and she deserved to live it. But the words wouldn't come. "She said she felt obligated," I finally said, staring at the fence I was supposed to be fixing. 6 years, Brent. She stayed for 6 years because she felt she had to, not because she wanted to. Brent was quiet for a long time. Then he sighed. "Kids don't know what they're saying half the time, brother. She's just excited. She'll come around." I nodded, but I didn't believe him. That night I got a text from her. Just one. "Dad, I'm staying at the Belmont Hotel downtown. Don't contact me. I need space. I'll reach out when I'm ready." I read it 5 times. Then I set the phone down and didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? Come home? She'd already made it clear. This wasn't her home anymore. By day 3, the neighbors started talking. I could see them whispering when I walked to the mailbox. Mrs. Calloway from next door gave me this pitying look that made my stomach turn. "Darius, honey, I'm so sorry about Dahlia," she said, her voice dripping with sympathy I didn't ask for. "It must be so hard, being left like that." I forced a smile. "I'm fine, ma'am. She's just living her life." But the shame clung to me like smoke. People knew. The whole damn neighborhood knew my daughter got rich and didn't want me anymore. I started avoiding going outside. On the 4th night, something strange happened. I was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing, when I noticed headlights outside. A black SUV parked across the street. Engine off. Windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. It just sat there for over an hour. I got up, walked to the window, watched it. My gut told me something was wrong, but I brushed it off. Told myself I was being paranoid. That grief was making me see threats that weren't there. Finally, the SUV started up and rolled away. Slow, deliberate, like it wanted me to know it had been watching. I locked the door that night, double-checked the windows, and I didn't sleep, because deep down, I knew. Something was coming, and whatever it was, it had something to do with Dahlia. That black SUV? It wasn't random, and what I didn't know yet would change everything. If you want to see where this leads, if you need to know what happens when the money runs out and the wolves close in, subscribe now. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have let her back in? Let's find out together. Day 5. I'd stopped counting the hours. stopped checking my phone every 10 minutes hoping she'd call. I'd accepted it. Dahlia was gone, and I was going to have to learn how to live in this house alone. I was in the garage that night, sanding down an old rocking chair I'd built for my wife 30 years ago. The wood was cracked, the joints loose, but I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. So I fixed it, because that's what I do. I fix things, even things that are already broken beyond saving. It was 11:47 p.m. when I heard it. Bang, 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 bang. Frantic, desperate, like someone was trying to break through the door with their fists. My heart stopped. I grabbed the hammer off the workbench and moved toward the front door, every nerve in my body screaming that something was wrong. Bang, bang, bang. Dad! Dad! Please, open the door! Dahlia. I froze, hand on the deadbolt, not believing what I was hearing. Dad! Please, I'm begging you. Please! I yanked the door open, and there she was. But not the Dahlia who'd left 5 days ago with her designer luggage and her cold goodbye. This Dahlia was shattered. Her hair was wild, tangled like she'd been running. Her mascara was streaked down her face in black rivers. She wasn't wearing shoes, just barefoot on my porch, clutching a cream-colored purse like it was the only thing keeping her tethered to reality. Her hands were shaking so violently I thought she might collapse. Dahlia! She stumbled forward and grabbed my arms, her nails digging into my skin. Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please. I didn't know where else to go. Please don't turn me away. Please. Come inside. I pulled her in and locked the door behind her, my mind racing. What happened? Are you hurt? She shook her head, but she couldn't speak. She just stood there, trembling, tears pouring down her face. I guided her to the couch, the same couch she used to curl up on as a kid when she had nightmares. She collapsed into it, folding into herself like she was trying to disappear. I sat across from her, my chest tight, torn between fury and fear. Dahlia, talk to me. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, smearing makeup across her cheek. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I made a mistake, Dad. A terrible, terrible mistake. What kind of mistake? She stared at the floor, her breathing uneven. The money. I thought it would fix everything. I thought it would make me free. But it didn't. It made me a target. My blood went cold. A target? What are you talking about? She reached into her purse with trembling hands and pulled out her phone. Opened her messages. Handed it to me without a word. I looked at the screen. The first message was from an unknown number, sent 2 days ago. Congratulations on your windfall, Dahlia. Enjoy it while it lasts. The second message, sent yesterday. You took something that doesn't belong to you. We know where you are. The third message, sent tonight, just an hour before she showed up at my door. Last warning. Return what you stole, or we'll take it from you. One way or another. My hands tightened around the phone. Who sent these? I don't know. Her voice cracked. I don't know, Dad, but they've been following me. Following you? She nodded, fresh tears spilling over. There's a black SUV. It's been outside the hotel every night. At first I thought I was being paranoid, but then this happened. She reached back into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold it. I took it from her and unfolded it. It was a photograph. A photograph of Dahlia, asleep in a hotel bed, tangled in white sheets, her face peaceful and unaware. Taken from inside the room. Someone had been in her room, while she was sleeping, and they'd left this for her to find. Rage exploded through my chest like a lit fuse. When did you find this? This morning, she whispered. It was slipped under my door. I didn't sleep last night. I packed my things and I ran. I didn't know where to go. I called the front desk, but they said no one unauthorized had accessed my room. They acted like I was crazy. She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen, and for the first time since she walked out 5 days ago, I saw my little girl again. Dad, I'm scared. I don't know what I did. I don't know what they want. But I'm terrified they're going to hurt me. I set the photo down and leaned forward, my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. You're safe now. You hear me? You're safe. She broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. And despite everything, despite the abandonment, the words that cut me, the 5 days of silence and shame, I moved to the couch beside her and wrapped my arms around her, because she was still my daughter, and no one was going to hurt her while I was still breathing. Dahlia didn't sleep that night. Neither did I. We sat in the living room until the sun came up, the silence heavy between us. Not the cold silence of strangers, but the careful silence of two people trying to figure out where they stood with each other. I made coffee at dawn, strong, black, the way I'd always made it. She wrapped her hands around the mug like she was trying to absorb its warmth, staring into it like it held answers. Finally, I broke the silence. You said you don't know what they want, but they said you took something. What did they mean? She flinched, took a long sip of coffee, set the mug down. I met someone, she said quietly, at the hotel, the day after I checked in. My jaw tightened, but I stayed quiet. Let her talk. His name was Troy. He was charming, confident. He said he was a financial advisor, worked with high net worth clients. He approached me in the lobby, said he'd heard about my settlement. It was public record, apparently. He offered to help me invest it, said he could triple my money in 6 months through some exclusive venture capital opportunities. I closed my eyes. Dahlia. I know, she whispered, her voice breaking. I know, okay? I was stupid. I was excited, and he seemed legitimate. He had business cards, references, a whole portfolio. I looked him up online. There were articles about him, Dad. Real articles. How much did you give him? She didn't answer right away. Dahlia, how much? $8 million. The number hung in the air like smoke. 8 million. Gone. And now he's disappeared, I said flatly. She nodded, tears streaming down her face again. 2 days ago, his phone was disconnected. The office address he gave me. It's a vacant building. I tried to report it to the police, but they said they'd look into it, which basically means nothing. And then the messages started. I stood up, pacing, my mind working through the pieces. So this Troy, he scammed you. But why would he threaten you? He already has your money. That's what I don't understand. She looked up at me, desperation in her eyes. Why would he come back? Why would he follow me? What else could he possibly want? I stopped pacing, looked at her. Unless he didn't work alone, and unless whoever he's working with thinks you know something you shouldn't. Her face went pale. Dad, there's something else. My stomach dropped. What? She reached for her phone again, scrolled through her photos, and handed it to me. It was a screenshot of a text exchange between her and Troy from a week ago. Casual, flirty even, but one message stood out. Troy. By the way, how's your friend Peyton doing? Haven't thought about her in years. I frowned. Who's Peyton? Dahlia's voice was barely audible. My ex-best friend. We had a falling out 2 years ago. I loaned her $15,000 when she said she was in trouble. She never paid me back. We haven't spoken since. And Troy knew her? That's the thing. He shouldn't have. I never mentioned her to him. Ever. But he dropped her name like it was nothing. Like he already knew about her. The pieces started clicking into place, slow and sickening. You think Peyton set this up, I said. Dahlia nodded, her hands shaking again. She was furious when I cut her off. She said I was selfish, that I didn't care about anyone but myself. And when the settlement news went public, Dad, what if she saw it? What if she planned this whole thing as revenge? I sat back down, my mind racing. If Peyton was involved, that meant this wasn't just a scam. It was personal, calculated. And if they were threatening Dahlia now, it meant they weren't done with her yet. "We need to find out who Troy really is," I said, "and we need to do it fast." "How?" I pulled out my phone and dialed Brent. He answered on the second ring, his voice groggy. "Darius, it's 6 in the morning, man. I need a favor, a big one." There was a pause. Then, "What kind of favor?" "The kind that involves finding someone who doesn't want to be found." Another pause. Then Brent sighed. "I know a guy. Private investigator, used to work fraud cases. He owes me. But Darius, what's going on?" I glanced at Dahlia, still trembling on my couch, and felt that old protective fury rise up in my chest again. "Someone's threatening my daughter, and I'm going to find out who." "Give me 2 hours," Brent said. "I'll make some calls." I hung up. Dahlia was staring at me, something like hope flickering in her red-rimmed eyes. "Dad, why are you helping me? After everything I said to you?" "Because you're my daughter," I said simply, "and no amount of money or words or time is ever going to change that." She broke down again, but this time, when I put my arm around her, she didn't pull away. She leaned into me, and for the first time in 5 days, I felt like I had a purpose again. Brent showed up 2 hours later with a man I'd never seen before. His name was Marcus Vale, mid-50s, silver hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Former fraud investigator turned private detective. He had the kind of face that had seen too much and believed too little. We sat around my kitchen table, me, Dahlia, Brent, and Marcus, while I laid out everything we knew. Marcus listened without interrupting, taking notes on a small leather pad. When I finished, he looked up at Dahlia. "You said his name was Troy. Do you have a last name? Business card? Anything?" Dahlia pulled out a crumpled business card from her purse, hands still shaking. "Troy Voss, Voss Capital Management." Marcus took the card, studied it, then pulled out his phone and started typing. The room fell silent except for the tap of his fingers on the screen. After a long minute, he looked up. His expression was grim. "Voss Capital Management doesn't exist. Never has. This address?" He tapped the card. "It's a UPS store in downtown Phoenix. The website listed here? Registered 3 months ago, taken down last week." Dahlia's face crumpled. "So he's just gone?" "Not quite." Marcus swiped through his phone and turned it toward us. "I ran a reverse image search on the photo you showed me of Troy. That face? It belongs to a man named Brent Holloway, but he's not a financial advisor. He's an actor. Does commercials, small theater gigs. Someone used his headshot." My blood ran cold. "So Troy isn't even real." "The person you met is real," Marcus corrected, "but the identity is fake. Someone hired an actor or used a stolen photo to build a persona. This is professional-level fraud." "What about Peyton?" I asked. "Dahlia's ex-friend. Troy mentioned her by name. That can't be coincidence." Marcus nodded slowly. "What's her full name?" "Peyton Aldridge," Dahlia whispered. Marcus typed again. Then his eyebrows lifted. "Peyton Aldridge, age 36, lives in Scottsdale, works in real estate, and has a younger brother named Celine." "Celine?" I frowned. "That's a woman's name, usually, but in this case—" Marcus turned his phone toward us again. The screen showed a mugshot. A young man, maybe late 20s, with cold eyes and a cocky smirk. Celine Aldridge. Arrested twice for identity theft, once for wire fraud. Charges dropped both times due to insufficient evidence. Dahlia gasped. "That's him. That's the man who called himself Troy." The room went silent. Marcus leaned back, arms crossed. "So here's what we're looking at. Peyton's brother Celine posed as Troy Voss to scam your daughter out of $8 million. But the question is, why the threats afterward? Why follow her? Why break into her hotel room?" I stared at the photo of Celine Aldridge, my jaw tight. because they think she has something else, something they want. But what? Dahlia's voice cracked. I gave him everything. I don't have anything left. Marcus tapped his pen on the table. When you transferred the money, did you use your bank? Or did he have you move it somewhere specific? He set up an offshore account, Dahlia said slowly. Said it was for tax purposes. He gave me the login information, told me to transfer the funds there. I did. And then 2 days later, the account was empty and he was gone. Do you still have the login credentials? She nodded. Marcus smiled, sharp, predatory. Then they're not after more money, Dahlia. They're after you, because as long as you have those credentials, you're a liability. You're a witness. You can trace the account back to them. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. They're not trying to steal from her, I said quietly. They're trying to silence her. Marcus nodded, which means they'll keep coming until they get what they want, or until they can't anymore. Dahlia's face went white. What do I do? I stood up, my hands clenched into fists. We don't run. We set a trap. Brent looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Darius, these people are dangerous. And they're threatening my daughter. My voice was steady, cold. I'm not letting them walk away from this. We're going to draw them out, and we're going to end this. Marcus studied me for a long moment. Then he smiled. All right, old man, let's talk strategy. We chose the location carefully. An abandoned construction site on the edge of town, one I'd worked on 15 years ago before the developer went bankrupt and left it to rot. I knew every corner, every blind spot, every way in and out. It was the perfect place to meet predators on my terms. Marcus wired Dahlia with a hidden microphone. Brent stationed himself in a car 2 blocks away with a police scanner. If things went wrong, he'd call it in. And me? I stood in the shadows with a tire iron and a lifetime of rage I was ready to unleash. Dahlia sent the message at 9 p.m. I'll give you what you want. Meet me at the old Riverside construction site. Midnight. Come alone, or I go to the FBI. The reply came 5 minutes later. Smart girl, don't make us wait. Midnight came cold and silent. Dahlia stood in the center of the site, a duffel bag at her feet, filled with cut newspaper, not cash. But in the dark, they wouldn't know that until it was too late. I watched from the second floor of an unfinished building, my heart hammering in my chest. Then I heard it, the rumble of an engine, headlights cutting through the dark. A black SUV rolled to a stop 50 feet from Dahlia. 3 people got out. The first was Celine, the man who'd called himself Troy. He was smaller than I expected, smug, cocky. The second was a woman I didn't recognize, mid-30s, hard eyes, dressed like she meant business. And the third, Peyton, Dahlia's ex-best friend, the one who'd never forgiven her for cutting her off. Peyton stepped forward, arms crossed, a cold smile on her face. Well, well, look at you, Dahlia, all alone. Guess Daddy didn't want to save you after all. Dahlia's voice was steady, stronger than I expected. I have what you want. The account credentials, everything. Just take it and leave me alone. Celine laughed, sharp, cruel. You really think it's that simple? You've seen our faces, sweetheart. You know our names. You're not walking away from this. Peyton stepped closer. You always thought you were better than me. Always so perfect, so generous. But you weren't generous. You were pitying me. And when I needed you most, you turned your back. I loaned you $15,000. Dahlia's voice cracked. You never paid me back. You disappeared. And you wrote me off like I was trash. Peyton's eyes burned. So when I saw you won $30 million, I knew exactly what I had to do. My brother owed me a favor. And you? You were so desperate to be free that you walked right into it. That's when I stepped out of the shadows. That's enough. All 3 of them spun around. Celine's hand moved toward his jacket, but I raised my phone. I've got everything recorded, every word, and it's already been sent to the FBI, the police, and a lawyer who's waiting for my signal. You move wrong, and you're done. Celine's face twisted. You're bluffing. Try me. For a long moment, no one moved. Then sirens wailed in the distance. Brent had made the call. Peyton's face went white. No, 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 no. Celine bolted for the SUV, but Marcus Vale stepped out from behind it, blocking his path, arms crossed. Going somewhere? The police arrived 3 minutes later. Celine and Peyton were arrested on the spot. The woman with them tried to run, didn't make it 10 feet, and through it all, Dahlia stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. When the police finally left with them in cuffs, she turned to me. Dad, I'm so sorry. For everything. For leaving. For the things I said. I pulled her into my arms. You're here now, I said quietly. That's all that matters. 3 weeks later. Most of Dahlia's money was recovered. Not all, but enough. Peyton and Celine were facing federal fraud charges. The woman, Peyton's girlfriend and partner in the scheme, turned on them both for a plea deal. Dahlia didn't move back in, but she visited. Every Sunday. Brought coffee. Sat on the porch with me like we used to. And one afternoon, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a check. A large one. I'm starting a foundation, she said softly, for elderly people who've been financially abandoned by family. I want to use Mom's name. I stared at the check, then at her. Your mother would be proud. She smiled, small, fragile, real. I hope so. As I watched her drive away that evening, I realized something. Money didn't change my daughter. It revealed her. And sometimes that revelation is the only thing that can bring someone home. I built this house with my own 2 hands. And now, for the first time in weeks, it finally felt like home again. If this story moved you, if you believe in second chances, fierce love, and the kind of justice that doesn't need violence to win, then do me a favor, subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because some stories aren't just entertainment. They're reminders that even when the people we love break our hearts, love doesn't have to break with them. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. See you in the next one.